this version of me today, I'm so grateful for, and I love her so much, and I would not change anything. Even though it was like the most
Yeah,
difficult things, I wouldn't change
yeah.
one thing.
Hello, welcome to Openly Spoken, or welcome back if it is not your first time here. I am so grateful that you're here. My name is Celia, and I am excited to share this very beautiful conversation with you all about embracing authenticity and also about the healing power of relationships. So, juicy stuff. We're joined today by my friend Naomi Sarah, who is an alignment and mindset guide. Naomi helps her clients rediscover their authentic voices through deconditioning outdated beliefs and walking with them as they reunite with their true selves. After losing herself in a past relationship, she finally found her way back home to herself in 2020, and now Naomi helps others do the same. She creates a safe, unconditionally supportive space for her clients to uncover their authentic wants, desires, and dreams while helping them bring these dreams to reality and creating a strong foundation to amplify it all. So, I wanted to give a little note about this episode that we kind of started this conversation off camera or like before hitting record. So, it really is the vibe of just, like two girlfriends sitting and talking. And when we first started talking, we were talking about our first like long-term relationships and how like lost we felt in those first relationships, and how, at least at the time of this recording, how good it felt to finally be in partnerships where we were with a person that actually cared about us enjoying ourselves, cared about us going towards our desires, our dreams, and our goals, cared about us being our own person. We also talk a little bit about rewriting the story of your body and sexuality. We talk about speaking up for yourself. We also talk about inner child work and inner healing, like inner teenager type of work as well. All right, without further ado, let's start our conversation with Naomi. I love that. That's a really good one. Good for grounding. I'm recording already.
Perfect. We entered the time portal, baby, where it just time is
Yeah.
illusory, it doesn't exist.
Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen. Here you'll get to eavesdrop on connected women's conversations about self-love, confidence, healing, relationships, creativity, and more. I'm your host, Celia Antonio, and I am your guide to getting you grounded into your body, feeling your full spectrum of emotion, and expanding your fullest self-expression. I also pop in here from time to time with solo episodes where I give you tips, tricks, and resources like meditations, visualizations, and all the things to get you grounded, to get you to feel, to get you to alchemize, and to get you to expand and express yourself fully. I'm so grateful that you're here, and I invite you to now put your hands on your heart, take a deep breath, set a tone for how you want to be as you show up for this podcast, take what resonates in this podcast, leave out what doesn't resonate, and take some time to reflect and to contemplate. And if there's anything in the podcast you want to chat about, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at selfexpressbabe. Thank you so much for being here. Now let's get started. By the end of the relationship, I basically didn't have any friends because he would judge my friends and be like, I don't want you going out with them. Or he'd be worried about like going out with your girlfriends. He'd be worried about like cheating and stuff. Like it was insane. And when I think about it, even now, I'm like, I was with him from 18 to 25. Those are like some peak years. Like those are like some
Exactly.
those are some good years that I gave that person.
Yeah, those are your years where you find out who you are. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, I
don't
could have
spend
been like exploring who I was, because I feel like even
exactly.
now, like this year, and even like when we met in the summer
Hmm.
in Medicine Muse, I feel like even from that point on, like I've learned so many things about myself, and I feel like I'm constantly, like before we hit record, you were talking about finding your voice and how that feels like a constant journey. I totally
Hmm.
relate to that. Like I'm constantly learning that it's safe to be myself.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
what we were talking about, there was another piece I wanted to say about
Hmm.
how much of a good sign it is in any relationship, whether it's romantic or even friendship. I think it's such a good sign when you can talk for hours.
Yeah. Oh my
It's
gosh,
the
yeah.
best. I think especially in romantic relationships, that's a good sign because like you know that you click on that friendship level. And I think in a lot of the dating scene, that is missing a lot. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's because people are scared, because it is scary
It is
to let
scary.
someone know you.
And I feel like now a lot of people are just trying to check off a box and fit someone into this slot that they see with themselves, like um I was like talking to a guy last summer and his main thing was I'm getting old. I need to like meet someone so I can have kids. So he was just going through all these girls trying to fit them into that
Mm,
box. But it's like, I don't know, I felt like something was missing from him. Like he was missing that emotional connection and wanting to connect with someone on that level. It was
mhm.
very surface. So even with that, I tried to force it and it wasn't right at all. And I was like, but like I understand like because he's an Aquarius and my dad's an Aquarius. I was like, I understand when like people are emotionally unavailable. I can deal with it. And then as soon as I like met my partner now, I was like, wait, I don't need to force anything. Like I don't need to pretend like it's okay if someone doesn't get back to me for hours. And you know, it was so different, so strange. So I do
Mhm,
think people are scared.
mhm.
And I feel like it really forces you to look at yourself
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
they don't want to.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
want
so
to.
true. Yeah, you like have to look in the mirror and look at
Mhm.
that's so true because I mean, I guess that's why I'm so passionate about sharing with people. I can't talk today. I guess that's why I'm so passionate about sharing with people like self-love and like doing that
Yeah.
inner work because like any relationship really is going to come from there.
Hmm.
And that's the space where we get to clean up whatever imprinting we have from our very first relationships
Yeah.
with, mom and dad and whoever else took care of us if we had like someone else raising us. And it's a scary place to venture to. It's
Hmm.
terrifying. But I think what most people don't realize is that it's scarier to not do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's like you're okay with just mediocrity. You're okay with settling. And
And sometimes you don't even realize you're settling until
yeah,
like you mentioned how afterwards you realize like why did I try to make that work? And I've had those moments
exactly.
too in past relationships where I'm like, well,
Hmm.
why was I pretending I was okay with that when I wasn't?
Yeah, absolutely. It is crazy. It is insane to like just be in that space. But
If anyone listening is like resonating with this, I'm feeling called to recommend a book that I just finished reading. It's called What My Bones Know, and it's by Stephanie Fu. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a memoir
mm,
about healing from complex PTSD.
mm,
And for her friendships and then her romantic relationships when she was older and did some more healing was very healing for her and really helped her, step into her own voice and
yeah.
her own like self-love and all of that stuff. And I think it really like resonates for anyone that has had relationships in the past where they just tried to mold themselves to fit that other person's.
It's like you totally lose yourself because everything is just about that other person. But
Mhm.
then it's like you're giving everything away. You're giving yourself, you're walking further and further away from who you are. And then, just like you, I was 18 as well when I started dating my ex, and I was with him
Mm.
until I was 29. But when I was
Wow.
25, I should have left because something
Wow.
happened when I was 25.
Mhm.
And I was just like, well, I was still kind of conditioned and growing up Catholic and going to Catholic school. And, I was
Mm.
like, well, the person I had sex with, so I have to marry them or else I'm going to go to hell. So that's
Mm,
kind of what kept me there. And I didn't really realize it, but there was so much guilt behind
yeah.
even like my sexuality with him.
Yeah.
And it was never really that great for me because I felt so guilty. I couldn't, I couldn't open up and I couldn't express myself.
Yeah.
It was all so transactional.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, like now I'm like, I've been missing out this whole time, It's
That's how
so,
I felt when I left at
yeah.
25, and I just kind of like I had maybe like a year where I just like casually dated and I was like,
Mhm.
what? This is like so fun. I'm missing out on this.
Exactly.
And I think a part of why so many people miss out on that is definitely because of like I didn't grow up religious.
Mhm.
But even though I didn't, I feel like the purity culture of Christianity, I don't know if Catholicism has it, but I know Catholicism has like a lot of guilt and shame.
Yes.
I'm sure Christianity has that too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how just because a religion is very popular and it's around you, like
Mhm.
its morals or teachings can still kind of like seep into your mind. So
Exactly.
I would always see like my own desires because since I was a teenager, I never really had a crush on just like one boy. I had a crush on like five guys at a time. And I would always shame myself about that. I'd be like, I'm a whore. There's a big piece here too about reclaiming our sexuality and like
Mhm.
realizing that it's a part of being human and it's
Mhm.
also how we were made. And it doesn't make
Exactly.
sense to make the thing that creates our life to make that bad and sinful and evil and all the things.
Absolutely. Now I'm like realizing, okay, so this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be something that we both enjoy. It's not just like for one person to, feel better afterwards and another person to feel used. But on
Mm,
top of that, it's
mm,
like totally awakening my creativity again. And I'm feeling inspired and I'm just feeling like good energy in my body. And I feel like I feel in my body instead of
yeah.
so outside of it, like I had been for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel safe too, which is like really key. One thing I noticed before is with my other partners, like I haven't been with many, but my body never really
Mm,
reacted well to them.
mm.
And like with this partner now, my body is just really happy. Nothing weird is happening. It's like, wow, so maybe this is supposed to be. You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe this is the right person.
It's also super healing when you are in a relationship where the person like actually cares about your enjoyment
Oh
in
my
that
gosh,
way.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my husband, we got together in 2019. Like we knew each other for 16 years.
Mhm.
We grew up in the same like town and we were friends. We never dated in high school, but we were friends and we like secretly liked each other. And I remember once he knows about this now, but he wrote me like a note like professing his love to me and I found it. Like he hid it like somewhere in my house because he would always come over. I found it, I read it, and I folded it and put it back. I was like, no, I'm just gonna pretend I did because I knew like subconsciously that
Mhm.
I would ruin our friendship
Mhm.
because in the household I was raised, there was like completely no open communication that I had such a hard time
Mhm.
with dating. Like I had such a hard time just like communicating that
Yeah.
like I couldn't function in a dating relationship like at all. I really
Mhm.
couldn't. So like I knew that I would mess things up and like fast forward to when we were like 30 and we got together, like he would ask me like, so what do you like? And I'm just like, I've never had someone ask me that. Usually I'm just like, come do what you want. Like
Exactly
just
right.
do what you
Yeah.
want to me.
Right. And then too, it's like, well, what do you want kind of thing? I find myself thinking that so often, like, kind of trying to take the focus off of me and put it back on them because that's what I was used to.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it's like a
is.
comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have to think about what I want. That means I have to figure out what I want. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, great. So we can figure it out then. That'll be fun. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, pressure's on because then I really have to like start thinking about it and thinking about myself and what feels good for me and that like deeper layer of getting to know myself.
Yeah.
I've done so much up here and like with my heart, but down in that sacral region,
Oh,
I'm
I'm so
like,
excited for you.
yeah, I'm excited too. It's just like it's really great. And for me as well, like I'm someone who's very mental. So if you can like talk to me and make me feel good and like
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the most random things, and if you can keep up with me, then that's amazing. And he keeps up with me and he just like is the same. And although, he's not super into spirituality like I am, but he listens to me and he's like, that sounds really cool. We should totally, like talk more about it. Let's learn more together.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
I love that
And
too.
I'm like,
That's cute.
yes, okay, let's do it. Like, I'm just smiling all the time. I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love
Never
that.
ever felt that way before. I guess, yeah, I was about your age. Well, I'm 31 now.
I'm
So,
33.
yeah, yeah. But when you guys first started dating, you were
Oh
30, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was 29 when we first started dating. And
Okay.
yeah, we got married this year. And then I just turned 33.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yay.
We deserve it.
Right? After all that, learning what we
Yeah.
don't want, now it's time to start enjoying everything that
Mm-hmm.
now we know we want and we're more clear on it and we can ask for it if we're not getting it and
Mm-hmm.
not feel shamed or like guilty or like we're doing something wrong for speaking up and asking for what we
Mm-hmm.
want.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've been doing that in every area of my life this year. You know,
Yay.
I used to just cower and just like leave if something wasn't working out, like with work. If I felt like I was overworking and they weren't seeing my worth, I would
Mm-hmm.
just be like, well, that's fine. I can just leave. But
Mm-hmm.
for the first time ever, like that happened to me this year, earlier this year in February.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm not gonna just leave. I'm gonna file a complaint. I'm gonna take this as far as it needs to go. And it was the scariest thing I've ever done. And
Yeah.
I cried during the mediation. But afterwards, I was like, well, I said everything I needed to say, and they
Yeah.
know that they messed up and that they can't get away with this. And even though I didn't, continue the process and go to the actual court with it, I felt okay because I stuck up for myself. I did what I needed to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, maybe this will stop them from doing the same to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was the first step, I would say, into like
Mm-hmm.
things really shifting for me this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had issues with my health. So even with that, I had to speak up for myself and say, well, I've been experiencing this for a few years now and I don't know what to do. My doctor was trying to push birth control on me because um, my iron levels were very low. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like severely anemic. And she was like, well, I think it's your period. So just take birth control. And I was like, it's not my period. No, I'm not going to take birth control. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want you to do the blood test. Send me to whoever you need to send me to. And so although, we haven't figured out what the cause is yet, we've ruled out a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not on the birth control because I know it's not for me. Is
Yeah.
really, it really messes with my body. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to be in tune with myself and not have things messing with my
Mm-hmm.
chemistry. So even
Yeah.
that. And then friends again, I had a friendship and I felt uncomfortable with something that had happened New Year's last year
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't in a place to talk about it. So what did I do? I ghosted. And then
Oh
months
shit.
went by,
Yeah.
and then I
Mm-hmm.
thought, like this person was just always on my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to talk about this. I think I need to just let her know where I was at and what's happening now. And that was the best conversation we've ever had. She was like, yeah, you know, what you're saying now, it did kind of blow up in my face back then. And she's like, I wouldn't have been able to even, you know, receive this from you anyways if you told me back then. And I was like, yeah, I know. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to even express myself and tell
Mm-hmm.
you and feel brave enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really huge for the both of us. And then with Medicine Woman, you know, like we went in there and I allowed myself to feel supported by these women and to feel safe in that space and know that whatever I say, it's okay. They're not going to bash me. They're not going to judge me. They're not going to, you know, do anything negative. It's all just for us to grow and learn together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, my partner came. Then I'm getting like job opportunities. Then just like things are just flowing so easily. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
forcing anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to make people see me. I'm just showing up as me every day. And the right people are noticing. Well, not even the right people, it's just my people are noticing instead of me
Mm-hmm.
trying to push myself onto everyone and make everyone like me or everyone see my worth. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's just not your people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my lesson this year. That was my thing this year. And it's nice that we're doing this in December because it's like we can really look back and see
Yeah, I
the
know.
patterns, the cycles, the things that we've moved through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was your year like?
Oh man. So honestly, before Medicine Muse, I for some reason like don't really remember what the year was like. It was a lot of like learning and being
Mm,
a lot of learning and being stuck in like books and courses and stuff. So
yes.
maybe that's why I don't remember much. Um, but in the beginning of the year, in January, I devoted myself to a course that I bought myself for my birthday last year. Because it was like on, I think it was on sale. No, it just launches every year in like November.
Okay.
Um, and it was a like a sexual healing course. It was a yoni egg course.
Mm,
And I bought it in November of last year and I did a few of the modules and it was like super triggering. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do this.
yeah.
And January came and I like dedicated myself to it. I got like, extra tools that I needed and like fuzzy blankets, pillows, like to make myself comfortable. And
Mhm,
I told myself like if I'm just gonna listen to the audio and just like breathe and imagine doing the stuff, like that's what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna like show up for it.
mhm,
And like it changed so much with my anxiety. Anxiety is something that like I had my whole life, but I didn't realize I had it until the lockdown in 2020. A little bit before it too, because right before the lockdown, I was like up to my neck in commitments with other people because I had a full-time job and I was also a full-time yoga teacher because teaching yoga is like my love, but I was never able to learn how to support myself financially with that. So I always had like a job and then like did the yoga as well. There
mhm.
was a time where I taught more yoga and like had a side job of like babysitting and working at a daycare, but that actually didn't work. That like put me into a little bit of credit card debt. So I'm like, all right, I need a full-time job. And when the pandemic hit, I realized like it was both the pandemic of like not being able to do anything and the relationship with my husband. We had started dating in 2019. The pandemic happened in March. We were long distance at the time because I was living in New York and he was here in California. And when I would explain to him how I would feel, he'd be like, that sounds like anxiety. And I'm like, okay, let me like sit with that and see if that's true. And I realized that like I had anxiety my whole life, but I didn't know it was anxiety because the
Mhm.
parents that raised me were that way. So I thought it was just like a
Yes.
normal way of being.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel you on that 100%. Yes.
Yeah. And so then when I dedicated myself to the Yoni Egg course, it like really anchored me, like you said earlier, how you feel that you're like in your body. It really
Mhm,
anchored me into my body. Like there was a point where I realized myself like being on Zoom calls and just being like I felt my womb as I was talking, and I was like super plugged into the present, like more than I ever have before. And so that was a big part. That was a big part of the year. And like with Medicine Muse, I feel like there was a lot of waking up to courses and books I was learning before that don't actually really align with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still kind of navigating like how to talk about certain things without being alienating to
Mm-hmm.
people. Like something that I really love is like doing, like, I know that I'm here to serve women and to help them feel at home in their bodies and express themselves. But I know that like not all women have breasts, not all women have yonis. Like there's so many different kinds of human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And like I want to be an ally as well to like people of the LGBTQIA plus community. So I want to make sure I'm not. So that's like what I'm currently navigating, because I don't want to be like, women need to be flowy and men need to be structured. Like, no, that's not, like, I don't want to genderize it because it has nothing to do with gender.
Mm-hmm.
And in ending the year, I'm now in a coaching certification program, which,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I'm like, once I signed up for it, I'm like, this is why Medicine Woman wasn't for me, because I wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to go into this.
absolutely.
And like, it doesn't officially start until January, but since I'm already in it, there's like some, like, she gave us access. It's the same person that I did the Yoni Egg course with, by the way. So it's like
Okay.
someone that has already helped me have
Mm-hmm.
transformation. That's why I was like, all right, I want to be trained by her.
Yes.
And it doesn't start until January, but since we're in it, like I already have access to like some of the bonus materials and like another course, and like what books we have to buy and what materials we have to buy. And even that is already triggering, because it's a sex, love, and relationship coaching certification.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like those three things might be the, like, how do I put words to it? Those three things might be like the themes in my life that I've like wanted but struggled with.
Yes.
But like, it's weird, like there are things that I've been good at but also feel like I've been pulled away from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like with sexuality, like I've always been a very sexual person. Like I remember as a kid, I used to, you know, pleasure myself, but I thought it was really bad. So like I pulled myself away from it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even like love and relationships, like I always like very much valued my friends when I was
Mm-hmm.
in school, but it's because I felt so lonely at home, because like my parents just, they just don't have the capacity to be there for me emotionally. And like, so it's like things that I'm good at but also things that I'm very wounded in. Those are the words.
Yes.
They're like the things that I love but also the things where like my biggest wounds have come from.
Mm-hmm.
So like already being in it now is so triggering. And I'm grateful that like the first like chunk, the first like trimester, she calls it, is all inner work before we get into any of the coaching skills. So
That's so good. Because then it's like you have this deeper understanding of it.
mhm.
You know, the shadow sides that will show up, and you'll know how
Yeah.
to move people through it. You'll know how to
Mhm.
support them because you felt it as well and you understand.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'm like grateful for the triggers, although they're so difficult
Yeah.
and like it's just so much sometimes, but that's really what forces you to move forward and kind of like forces you to decide, am I going to stay the same or am I going to do something different? Am I going to really honor myself in this
Mhm.
or just, you know, not show up for me again, to stay
Mhm.
comfortable, to stay safe?
Mhm.
Yeah. But I
Yeah, I
think
think
that's
triggers
beautiful.
are really good mirrors too, because like
Oh
when
my
I've
gosh.
Yeah. When I feel
Yeah.
triggered, my like instinct is always to like put my hand on my heart and like ask my inner child, like, what's going on? What are you feeling? What do you
Mm-hmm.
need? And it's almost always like when I'm triggered, the person that's triggering me is either doing something that I don't allow myself to do, or they're displaying a trait that I know I also have, but I don't like about myself.
Mm.
It's usually those two things. Or it's like things that I've like learned is bad. Like I remember, I might edit this word out. I don't know if sometimes I curse on the podcast and sometimes I don't. So maybe, but I used to be very triggered by the word pussy. I used to hate it. And I remember when WAP came out, when Cardi B came out
Mm-hmm.
with WAP, I was so triggered. I remember telling my sister that like I finally understand how the old people that were around when like Elvis was like thrusting his hips and they were
Yeah.
having a fit. I'm like, I feel like
Yeah.
those people right now because I'm like, what is she doing? Like
Uh-huh. No, like honestly, I felt the same. I was like, what is this song? Like, what? It was like anybody can make anything popular these days.
yeah.
So me in my mind, I was like, well, then I could be a rapper too. Like, I just think weird things like that all the time. But yeah, that one definitely shook a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
A lot of
I'm
people.
glad it did.
Yeah.
And when I realized that that word didn't trigger me anymore, I was
Hmm.
in a master class with someone and the topic was not sexuality at all, but she kept saying like she said pussy a few times in the master class. And I noticed that I didn't get like a body response of like disgust. I like it was just like nothing and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let me dive into more like let me see what there is out there." And that's how I found the yoni egg course
Hmm.
because like my curiosity was opened up. So I'm like, all right, let me see like what's out there.
Yeah.
It's cool how like even what you were sharing before, it's cool how like one thing happens and like you see how it kind of creates kind of
Hmm.
like a snowballing effect where
Yeah.
it all leads to the next and it's kind of like your like new life starts from like one decision you make to like leave the relationship or like
Yeah.
go to therapy or like quit smoking or like whatever big decision it is that you're having a hard time with. And
Hmm.
but in the moment, like it doesn't feel that way. Like
No.
I remember when I ended that relationship when I was 25, like I felt like I was just like, what am I going to do with my life? Like
Yeah.
I had no, like I had my college degree. I knew I didn't want to work in my industry. Um and I was just like working in restaurants. I was a waitress and like I moved back in with my mom cuz I literally called my mom like before I broke up with this boyfriend. It was like I want to break up with him finally. And like she was really happy because she hated him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I please live with you? And she's like, yes. So like I broke up with him, packed a
Uh-huh.
backpack, and like
Uh-huh.
left all my stuff.
Wow.
Which when I think about it now, I'm like that's like now that I've gone through a breakup where someone broke up with me, because that
Hmm.
happened to me in 2019, like before dating
Hmm.
my husband, I went through a huge initiation of healing from a breakup. And it was the first time that someone broke up with me rather than me doing the breaking up.
Hmm.
I realize now I'm like, damn, Celia, that was an asshole move to leave all your stuff because like this guy was super heartbroken and he had to go through all my stuff and be like, oh, I miss her. This smells like her. And I'm like, damn, sending
Oh.
apology vibes to this person, but I also don't want to reach out to them.
Yeah. I guess it's like how you end, like the circumstances behind how you end it as well that make a huge difference. Because for me, when I broke up with my ex, it was because, so, okay, little backstory. We were engaged for a year after 10 years of dating. And I kind of like always felt like, I don't know if I should really be doing this, you know? And
Mhm.
then COVID happened, and I was just feeling more and more like, okay, I'm not okay with this, but I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should leave. I don't know. at all what to do. So I started asking like my grandma who passed away, I would often pray to her. And one day I was just like at my wit's end. I was crying in the shower and I was like, Grandma, please, like, I don't know what I should do. If this is not the right thing for me, just show me in a way that I cannot ignore. And
Mm.
literally the next day, I found out he was cheating because he left his phone unlocked and I didn't know how to work it. So I was trying to figure out how to turn off a video that was playing. And then I accidentally opened up all of these tabs of like dating apps and Messenger, like all this stuff under fake
Oh my
names.
God.
And I obviously was like devastated. That was the first time I've ever like gone through anything so traumatic. So my heart
Mhm.
broke into pieces. I was like, I don't even know who this person is. And there
Yeah.
was no doubt in my mind that that's it for me. There's no
Mhm.
going back.
Mhm.
Everything was broken. So yeah, that was a very interesting place to move through. And I was experiencing feelings I didn't even know were possible. I didn't know that your heart could actually break in your chest and
Mm.
those
Oh,
emotions and those feelings. Like I've never felt that before because I was so out of my
yeah.
body in that relationship. And
Yeah.
I didn't know that that meant so much to me, but it was just everything around it. It's like all of the sacrifices I made, all of the ways that I tried to change myself to make myself into the person you wanted me to be, just
Mhm.
everything that I did that I knew was not in alignment with what I wanted. And I did it anyways.
Mhm.
It was just all of those things that were ending. And it was the worst thing, but it was the best thing for me because, I went through it. Took me maybe 6 months of crying like every night. And then one day I was just walking outside and this song came on my phone. It was like Tay Money, Fresh Princess. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but
No.
that song came on and something just like flipped in my brain. And I was like, she's right. She says something like, I don't know. I don't remember what she said, but
I wrote
yeah,
down I wrote down Tay Money Fresh Princess.
yes, listen to it. It's a
Have to
really
look it
cute
up.
song. But yeah, I was like, why am I even like stressing over this? Why am I crying every day? Like, I have my life back. I can do
Mm.
whatever I want from this point on.
Yeah.
And then that's when I kind of started coming back into myself. And I booked this Reiki massage. Well, I didn't know it was Reiki at the time. It was just like called a fusion massage. And
Okay.
the masseuse would do like all these different modalities on you, like traditional massages and little bit of energy healing. And she was like reading my aura and she was like, I feel like this might have happened to you as a child. Is that true? And I was like, yes. She's like, I feel like you don't want to speak. Like, what happened when you were younger? Like,
Mm.
and I ended up remembering back to when I was a kid and singing lessons. And I was so terrified to do our recital and sing in front of everyone. And, you know, me shutting down started back then. And then she was like, do you know about human design? I think you might be a reflector because I can't really like, I feel like I'm just seeing myself in your aura. And I was like, no, what is that? And then I went down the rabbit hole of that, and that's really when things started shifting. That snowball really
Mm.
just
Yeah.
intensified from there. And then I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. I was just absorbing all of these books and audio books and like stuff on YouTube. And I was like, okay, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. So I was just like praying, asking for guidance. And then I saw an old friend of mine from high school who was doing coaching. And
Mm.
like, I was like, maybe I should like reach out to her and see what this is about. And then I started working with her. And then she introduced me to all these people. It's just been nonstop since then. And yeah, I'm like, wow, I could not imagine staying in that place where I was.
Mm.
Like this version of me today, I'm so grateful for it. And I love her so much. And I would not change anything. Even though it was like the most
Yeah.
difficult things, I wouldn't change
Yeah.
one thing.
I think that's when you know you've gotten to a good place of like maybe like mental health. I don't know,
Mhm.
where you can be super grateful for all of the things that were difficult to go through. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't change a single thing about my life at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very grateful for it. And
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like it was like it's what was meant to happen. Our life experience like flavors the work that we do. And even outside of work, like for me personally, I know that I want to be a mom within the next 2 years.
Mhm.
And I just feel like everything I've been through, like the traumatic stuff and then also the healing, is going to make me a good guide. And I'm going to be able to, really teach them from experience of
Yeah,
things instead of just being like a do as I say type of parent.
exactly.
Like I'll
Yes.
be able to show them examples and, tell them stories about my past. Like
Mhm.
something about my parents, they're so mysterious. Like communication was so close that I don't even know like many stories from when they were growing
Wow.
up. And it's just like,
Yeah.
they're like these strangers in my life. Yeah. So
Yeah. No,
that's why I feel such gratitude for it. Like I feel like it's meant for us because
yeah.
you definitely learn. And another piece that my husband and I talk about a lot, because he's also had like, not that great of a childhood, is how when you experience, I guess, dysfunction as a kid, it kind of wakes you up in a way where, like, both me and him at school, like, we wouldn't really follow, I guess, like trends, or like we wouldn't really be so into things that the masses are into because we're like, that doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
almost like you grow up
Yeah. Way
fast,
fast. Yeah.
which is kind of not that great, but it's like
No.
it also gives you this kind of like wise perspective.
Hmm.
It unfortunately comes with some disassociation from your body.
Yeah.
Um, but then the journey, once we're older and we feel safe enough, we get to journey back to our bodies. And then
Yeah.
it's like, it's amazing from there.
It is. I feel like now is when I'm actually having fun and doing all those things that I wanted to do when I was a kid that I never got to. Like I've been painting and
Mm,
like doing all these little, fun things that I used to love, like
yeah,
crossword puzzles or word searches, I should say. I used to
yeah.
love them as a kid. And then I saw at Costco they had like this huge book of word search, and I was like, okay. So yeah, it's like fun to bring the fun in and
Yeah.
just relax and let go for
Mm-hmm.
once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I so resonate right now. I'm in a phase of doing the things that my inner teenager wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been learning the guitar finally. I remember
Wow.
I got a guitar on my 15th birthday, but I was like so depressed when I was 15 that I like wasn't excited about it. Nonfiction books, like I'd be reading, but my brain would be somewhere else. Like I'd be
Yeah.
disassociated somewhere else. Fictional
Hmm.
books I could read when I was little. And I'm getting back into that now because like I love reading nonfiction. And I realize like I need to bring in just a little bit of fictional books, especially like right before bed. I feel like it gives you very good dreams when you read
Yeah.
a little bit of fiction, especially if it's like something like with fantasy,
Hmm.
like Harry Potter or something, which
Oh
I want to
yeah.
reread those. It's been a while since I've read those.
You absolutely should. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that though. Your inner teenager. Hmm.
I'm gonna have to now, after this call, listen to like songs I loved as a teenager. I was really
Oh
into like
yeah.
My
Yes.
Chemical Romance.
I have to tell you, like I actually only listened to songs from when I was like a teenager. So like all those like R&B and like hip hop songs from the early 2000s, like
Like
2010s.
Ashanti.
Oh yes, I was just
Oh my
listening to that the other day.
god.
Like that's why I really love Tay Money is because her music, she kind of emulates that. Like the
Okay, I'm gonna
older
like her
stuff.
then. I'm gonna have to look her
You
up.
are. She's really fun. I put her in
Yeah.
my like I made this new mood manifestation playlist for myself where it's all about how I want to feel and like the confidence that I want, and she's all in that. So she's
Ooh,
fun. Yeah.
that sounds fun.
Yeah.
I love R&B and I don't listen to it as often as like I know
Hmm.
I would like, just because I don't know any artists aside from like Ashanti and Erica Badu
Oh
and
yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
old Destiny's Child. I don't know if
Yeah.
that counts as R&B, but I love in R&B how it's
Absolutely.
so like layered and like there'll be
Yes.
my favorite is the background vocals.
Yeah.
Someone in the back will be like, "Ah," like I love that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well,
we
if
have
you
to
want
listen
some
together.
ideas, I should send you some of my playlists.
Okay.
I'll do that. I'll make you a playlist
Yeah.
of like good R&B stuff, like
Oh, I'd
older
love
stuff and newer
that.
stuff. Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
I
You know,
love music.
when I was in high school, my friends and I used to burn each other's CDs. So like I
Yes.
feel like this is the equivalent of that.
Can I tell you
I love
something?
that.
I just found all of my burned CDs from high school, and I was like, how can I play these? Because like nobody makes CD players anymore. So I had to find my old Blu-ray and play them on my TV.
Oh my
And
gosh.
every song is just like remembering how I felt when I heard it the first time, and like being in
Oh,
the car with my friends, the minivan driving around town, like really, really funny.
that's so
I guess
cute.
burn CDs used to be my life.
Yeah, same. Same.
Mhm.
Music, like without music, I don't think I would be alive. Like it got
No,
me through so
no
much.
way. Yes.
So, wow, the time flew by. Um, there are some questions that I like to ask each guest towards the end, so I want to make sure that we get those in. How are
Okay.
you on time?
I'm good.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
let me check my phone. No calls. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So, the first question is, what does self-love mean to you?
Self-love. What does it mean to me? To me, self-love means accepting yourself, loving yourself completely, whether you're doing good or doing bad, in any way, and really being your own safe place.
I love that,
Yeah,
being your own safe place.
I like that too. I've never said that before, but feels good.
That's what I love about podcasting. Like, you just riff and like
Yeah.
an angel drops into your mind and just speaks for you and
Uh-huh.
speaks truth.
Yeah. Speaks what we need to hear,
Yeah,
which,
exactly.
yeah.
So the next question is, what makes you feel the most grounded?
What makes me feel the most grounded is being with the trees.
Mm,
So I absolutely love walking in forests and just getting
mm,
lost and being with the birds and just watching the leaves and, the limbs just move, flow freely. That's where I feel grounded and connected.
hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I think we're twins.
I think so too, because a lot of the things you've been saying, I'm like, wait, that happened to me too. So it's, yeah,
Yeah, same. When you were sharing your story, I was like, wow, we have so many parallels and I could like
I
just
know.
keep talking. We'll have to do
Yes,
another Zoom call where we just chat and like not
please.
record it. Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. I'm down.
Let's do it. Um, the third question, I always forget it, so we'll skip that one. I don't remember what it is, but I always remember my last question because it's my favorite.
Okay.
Um, and now I'm thinking like what I said earlier about genderizing, in my mind is like I probably should eventually change this question, but at the same time, like such a big part of me is celebrating um female voices because we don't get as much opportunity as men, especially if you are living in Iran or if you are from, any country. Anyways, that's just what my mind just came up. So the question is, what is your favorite part about being a woman?
My favorite part about being a woman, although I'm not a mother yet, I find it very, very amazing that we can create life.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw something really cool on Twitter the other day, actually, where it was like, we bring souls into bodies. And I was like,
Ooh,
whoa, that's deep. I was like, yeah, that's amazing. And it's so true
yeah.
because, you're the first safe place, you're the first home for a child.
Mm-hmm.
And even in having a child, there's so much responsibility in that. Of course, you need two
Yeah.
people to make one, but
Mm-hmm.
we're the ones who are really offering up our bodies as that place for them to grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. And that we have like moon cycles and we're so connected to the moon. And, you know, right now my period is like totally synced with the moon. It's really, really funny.
For the people listening, where can they find you online and find out more about you and find your work and all of that juicy stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on Instagram and YouTube. So my names are the same on both platforms at Naomi Sarah. And I am doing coaching right now. So if anyone is interested in one-on-one coaching to go a bit deeper in, mindset and self-worth, self-love, finding your voice, and really just manifesting or calling in your desired life, then I'm available for that as well. But for right now, it's just doing some creating, putting out some content, some good content for everyone. And yeah.
Awesome.
Am I missing anything?
Well, thank you for being here with me. And
Thank you so much for even having this podcast and for allowing me to join you today. Okay, I lost my train of thought too. But no, I agree with you.
About where people, okay, let me start this over. I'll edit all that out. Where the light in your room is changing from like blue to purple sometimes. I was just wondering if it was a light or if like something else was happening. It looks really pretty, but I was like,
it does.
Yeah, it looks pretty.
Maybe it's just my tablet. Like honestly, my lights don't change. I can see it now too. That's really weird. No.
I think you have some like guardian angels around you or something. I don't know. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Openly Spoken. I know that there's an abundance of content online, so I really appreciate you giving me your ears today. If this episode shifted something for you, please share this with a friend and/or write us a podcast review if you're listening to this on iTunes so that more people can find this. If anything shifted for you from this episode that you want to have a conversation about, I would love to hear from you. Just send me a DM over on Instagram at selfexpressbabe, and that is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.